Good afternoon and welcome to the Gwinnett Democratic Women Present Inform Your Vote Live 2 Candidate Forum, Saturday, March 23rd, 2024. And we're just a little bit behind time because of technology. We've got to get that all synced, but it is 4:06 p.m. and we are starting close to on time. Our special guest speakers today are Ramona Toole, Tuwanda Rush Williams, Tarece Johnson, and Karen Watkins. I am your moderator, Dr. Tracey Fisher, president of the Gwinnett Democratic Women, and I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so glad that you're here with us today. So we're going to try to get this slideshow coordinated with you. Let's see. I'm hoping I can get this to work. And if I can't, we're just going to continue. And I think I can. Here we go. Great. So as I said, we have very good prospects to talk about today. Lots of things to talk about. So as I play with the document here in front of me and make sure that I get everything set straight, we've got a great afternoon planned for you. We also want to thank the GDW officers, the chairs, leaders, and members in the Gwinnett Democratic Women. And good afternoon to you, the audience, which includes new members. We even had a member signed up today. Thank you so much for your donation support, and thank you so much for your critical support. New friends we're making every day, and you are here today for this open to the public guest speakers Inform Your Vote Live Part 2 Candidate Forum. Now, I want to stress, first of all, that this is not a debate. We are here because Gwinnett Democratic Women take great pride in presenting informative, educational, and engaging information to help inform your vote. We want you to know who these candidates are, what they stand for, where they are in their progress, and all kinds of things about them that can help inform your vote. Again, my name is Dr. Tracey Fisher, president of the Gwinnett Democratic Women. I think I've said that 3 times now, because I want you to go to our website, www.gwinnettdemocraticwomen.com, right after this forum, so that you can see all of the exciting and educational and informational things that GDW does and has done and continues to do. GDW, just as a footnote, does not endorse before a primary. But we do support Democratic women who support us. We love them and we appreciate them. The races today are one and dones. I don't know if you know what that means, but this is not a primary situation that we're into right now. This is you've got to come out and vote in May or earlier, and you've got to make decisions at that time exactly who you want in the positions that are open. So we're going to start first with the wonderful Tarece Johnson Morgan. Dr. Tarece, are you here?
I
Are you
am.
here? Yay! So
It's,
I'm going to give a little background about you and Karen because we've got to go back in history in 2020, don't we? When you all first ran. So Dr.
yes,
Tarece Morgan and Karen Mozak Watkins were both elected decisively to the Gwinnett County Public School Board in 2020. It seems like just yesterday in some ways, and then it seems like a long time ago. But you both made history as the very first Black women elected to the GCPS school board ever. You're actual living, breathing trailblazers. And we're very proud of you, Tarece. And that election, like I said, seems like it was only yesterday. But as you know, and I know, there are Gwinnett residents watching now who may not have been eligible to vote back then. That's crazy. They might have been in 9th grade back then and are now 18 and a half. Can you believe that? And or there are people who've moved to Gwinnett County. We know that too, only recently, or who simply may not know what you've accomplished in the position that you hold and what you are doing outside of that position. So before I even start with this, I got to give your website because I want people to look up what you've done, who you are, all that stuff. Vote TareceJohnson-Morgan.com. Dr. Tarece is a newlywed, so I got to mention that too. So her website is there. I want you to make sure, viewers, that if you miss anything today, that you have the opportunity to go back and look at other things about Dr. Tarece that'll give you a more rounded picture of exactly who she is. Also, I've got to get our very own Karen Watkins, her email address as well, and her website address. So the website address is karenwatkins.org, and you can find out lots of information about Karen. We're going to get to Karen after we talk to Tarece, but we got to talk to Tarece first. So, audience, please go to each candidate's website and peruse, that means read, detailed background information about both of them. This afternoon, we want the audience to hear their responses to the GDW prepared questions. So, because this is a forum, Dr. Tarece and and Karen Mosek Watkins, they know that we give questions in advance so that they can prepare a full answer for you. So, GCPS, immediate past chair, Dr. Tarece Johnson Morgan. See those pictures up there? Hello, you're up first with question 1, which you're going to dive right into. This question is a little complicated, but I know you've seen it, but the audience has not. So I'm going to repeat it. Why is it important for voters to turn out and vote for you sometime between April 29th and May 17th, early in-person voting, or on Election Day, May 21st, or mail-in voting? We'll talk about that a little bit later. What direct impact, this is part B, do GCPS school board representatives like you have on children, families, and citizens? And then part C, which 2 most significant accomplishments have you achieved in the position that you're in since 2020 that align with your vision and mission as an incumbent looking to be reelected? You have 4 minutes maximum time to respond, and your time starts now.
Thank you. I first want to quickly take the opportunity to recognize Women's History Month and celebrate all the women on this call and all the women in our community who are courageous catalysts for change. And we have so many women in history that we can look to see how they have made an indelible impact in our communities, in the lives of women, and in the lives of all of our children. And so I carry and I stand before you all, the honor of our ancestors, of wonderful, powerful women. And also our community leaders who continue to work on behalf of all of our children. So our voter election, you already have heard from Dr. Tracey Fisher, who's explained a little bit about like who I am. I'm running for re-election for District 5, Gwinnett County Public Schools. And I want to share with you all that this is the first time in District 5 that you will vote May 21st as the primary election, nonpartisan, and this is it. So May 21st is the date that we have our election. There is no other election after that. Before the state representatives changed the election, you all voted in November. You're no longer voting in November. Please make a plan to vote. So I have 3 things for you all. One is check your voter status, ensure you are registered to vote and that all of your information is correct. The second thing I have for you is make sure you make a plan to vote. What does that mean, make a plan to vote? Well, if you are out of town, if you won't be available during the period of time that early voting is, or the election day is, you may want to make a plan to vote absentee. If you don't want to vote absentee and you want to vote in person, then you want to make a plan to vote during April 29th through May 17th, which is the early voting period, nonpartisan. Now, make sure if you do vote absentee that you get a nonpartisan ballot. You can go online and register for the absentee ballot and select nonpartisan absentee ballot. Okay. So it's important that you make a plan to vote, whether you vote absentee or whether you vote early. If you vote while you are here in town, know that our election is May 21st. The other question we had is, what is the direct impact on the citizens of Gwinnett County? So what I have the honor to share with you is that my accomplishments align with the values of the school board in various ways. One is I am committed to addressing the multilingual learners and the children who are of the greatest needs. We have children in our school system who have been historically marginalized, special education students, students who don't speak English as a second language, or students who have some other challenges, socioeconomic impacts that can impact their learning environment and or their learning experiences. And so my goal on this school board is to do what I can to ensure that we are meeting the needs of each and every child. Some of the accomplishments align with my values as a school board member that's related to equity, multilingual
You have
learners.
30 seconds remaining.
And making sure that we have inclusion, empathy, and cultural responsiveness to meet the needs of each and every child. Equality and equity are important to me, and it indicates how we value and respect the dignity of humanity. And equity is meeting the needs of each and every individual by providing access, resources, and opportunities. So I'm so proud to serve the people of District 5 and listening and understanding to their needs and courageously advocating for them, because I know who they are, I listen to their needs, and I am fierce. I am very committed to making sure that we do what we need to address the needs of all of our children. Each and every child matters, and I care. I care deeply. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tarece. And, that was a lot to explain about voting. In addition to where you stand, voter suppression is real. We all know it. Voter confusion is just as real. We will talk later in this program about that and why all voters need to actually know how you all stand, where you all stand, and how you're going to get what you believe the represented people that you represent stand for. And I know that. So we're going to talk about that a little later. You wrap that around really great. So we're going to get to your second question. And I thank you. So we're going to jump right in. What do you most want this audience of potential voters to know about your unique and genuine passion for public service? You have 2 minutes maximum time to respond, and your time for this question starts now. Mike, your mic. Vonda, if you can reset Dr. Tarece, because her microphone is not open.
Okay, here we go.
Let's
I
have your
apologize
time
for that.
start now.
All right. Okay. Let me just quickly say my passion for public service is rooted in the purpose to empower people and to ensure that children, especially the most vulnerable children, the historically marginalized children, have what they need to be successful. I celebrate the achievements of our students who continue to excel, and I want to continue to make sure we do what we can as a system to support them. I also want the students and the schools and the community in District 5 to be an area of choice, just like all of the other clusters. I want this district to continue to do the work and to have the support that they need to ensure that all of our students are achieving success. My adverse childhood experiences have fueled the fire I have to fight for the most marginalized children, the needy, the unseen, and the unvalued, the undervalued child. My education, knowledge, skills, experience are valuable to serve on this school board. I have a doctorate degree in education. My teaching experience and my master's degree in public policy from Columbia University in New York City, it helps me to understand legislation, policy-making process. I have written policies, procedures, and metrics in various roles. And also, as I serve on this school board, I will continue to advocate for appropriate, relevant policies that are necessary to drive the progress that is needed to meet the needs of each and every child. I also have a master's degree in business from Emory University.
30 seconds.
Thank you. That helps me to serve the needs of the children on the board. I understand budgeting. I understand how we need to engage in learning revenues and how are we balancing our budget and ensuring alignment with our strategic plan, legislative priorities, and our portrait of a graduate to ensure that each and every child can graduate from high school. My undergraduate degree in humanities, languages, and literatures helps me to understand the importance of multicultural education, cultural competence, and culturally responsive learning. These things are very important as we try to drive equity in our school systems. We ensure access, resources, and opportunities to know that each and every child belongs and thrives. I believe when we meet the needs and parents of children, we can uplift the entire school system and the community in a united way. Together, we stand. Sí se puede. Yes, we can. Together.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tarece. Thank you for being here this afternoon, Dr. Johnson Morgan. And please stay for questions from the audience for both you and for Karen. I'd like you to stay. This is a really important, in our estimation, opportunity for people to ask you questions. And they've just heard quite a bit of information from you about why you want their vote at the end of the election cycle for your position. Thank you so much. And again, if you want to see more about Dr. Tarece, I advise you personally to go to her website and peruse. And we will have some time for questions at the end, I'm sure. Thank you, Dr. Tarece. Thank you. Okay, I've got to find Karen. Karen, where are you? And while Karen is coming up, I want to make sure that the audience feels welcome to put their questions in the chat. Questions must be proactive, and I am excited to talk with GCPS Vice Chair Karen Mozek Watkins. Karen, are you there? I don't see you yet.
I am.
You are. Oh, there she is. Great to see you, Karen.
Yes.
Hello. You have
Hello.
questions too. I'm sorry, say again.
I said hello.
Hello,
Hello, everyone.
We have the same questions for you because as a trailblazer on the Gwinnett County School Board, we want to make sure that your voice is resonant with the people who are supposed to be voting. We want everybody to vote. And because you won't have this experience, that's a different level of where you're coming from. And so I look forward to hearing your response to this same question, because we gave the same two questions to you and to Dr. Tarece. So I'm going to just set it up and repeat it again because there were people coming in and we want them to get it. Okay, so A, why is it important for voters to turn out and vote for you sometime between April 29th and May 17th, early in person, or on Election Day, May 21st? Part B, what direct impact do GCPS school board representatives like you have on children, families, and citizens? And C, which two most significant accomplishments have you achieved in the position since 2020 that align with your vision and mission as an incumbent looking to be reelected? You have 4 minutes maximum time to respond, and your time starts now.
Thank you. I'm Karen Mozek Watkins, and I'm actually running for re-election for Gwinnett County School Board District 1. The question that we have here is, why is it important to go out and vote this time around? This is the first time it has been nonpartisan for Gwinnett County. Actually, for this term of election, for us three who are running for District 1, 3, and 5. The reasons behind it, I'm still trying to figure out, because all of a sudden it has become, and just like you stated, Dr. Fisher, a lot of confusion, a lot of wanting to get certain ways done. It's a lot to bring, to make sure you have opponents, right? Especially both Dr. Tarece and I have very high Democratic districts. So we're running nonpartisan, so you really don't know who is Democrat or Republican. So if you are not informed, and thank you to the Gwinnett Democratic Women, Federation of Democratic Women, thank you for doing this, to helping to inform those who may not be informed about what these candidates are about. Okay, and that's important. Information is powerful. So it is critical for us to come out and know who we're voting for, as well as come out to vote. As stated earlier, elections are on March 21st, 2024. So please, please, please come out and vote and vet each and every candidate, inclusive of myself. And I'm always available for any questions. Okay. So can you repeat the second part of the question?
The second part was, what direct impact do GCPS school board representatives like you have on families and children?
Mhm. So the direct impact that we have is we educate your kids using your tax dollars. Flat and simple. We are using your tax dollars to educate these kids, your kids, my kids. Um, if we as a community do not understand how our tax-paying dollar is operating with our school system, it's difficult to understand how we could make effective changes. And I hope that makes sense to everyone. So it's one thing for us to budget, right? But then there's an overarching out there. What are we budgeting with? We are budgeting with state dollars, local dollars, federal dollars, and a very, 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 very small percentage of grant dollars or other dollars that come from our community or whomever. So we have to work together as a community to really understand what resources are given to us and how we use those resources, and did we use those resources effectively. And as a board member, and now leading into accomplishments, some things that I have been able to do over the last 3 years, along with our board, because remember, we can't operate as one. We all work together. And
30
along
seconds
as a governing
remaining.
team, some of the things was able to champion our first ever strategic plan. That strategic plan is what helps us understand what's going to move forward over the next 5 years. So I started 3.5 years ago. So we started the strategic plan 2 years ago. So now we're starting to work through, we implemented, it takes a year to implement or so for some things. And now we are starting to see what has come from those, from what we did. But but the one main accomplishment I feel that I've done as a board member is getting that strategic plan in place that does align with trying to use the resources that we have to give equitable access to our children. It aligns with that because we have to also understand that we are given what we are given. So using that money the best that we can to be equitable, I think our board has done a great job of helping our school system to move in that direction.
Thank you, Karen. That's very
Mhm.
informative. And I hope our audience can see just how dynamic you and Dr. Tarece are and why you are trailblazers and why we're very proud that you are with us all the time and that we could be there at the beginning, before the beginning, really, to, to help y'all get where you needed to go. So we're going to ask you that second question. It's more open. What do you most want this audience of potential voters to know about your unique and genuine passion for public service? You have 2 minutes maximum time to respond, and your time starts now.
For me, public service has not, it wasn't just, it did not just begin with the school board. Have my own nonprofit, help to build thriving communities, everything that I have done pretty much has always centered in and around education and helping to support, because I've always known that public schools are not adequately funded to meet the needs of today's student. Okay. And this is in general, and this is all throughout the nation. Okay. My main motivation to be a public school board member and continue to be a public school board member is because I've always believed in public schools. Public schools offer each and every child an opportunity for an education, not private schools. They do not. Private schools don't have to take you. If you don't have money, you can't go there. But public schools do. Okay. And my greatest motivation, I have 2 children in the public school system. I've always been a staunch public school advocate. This is what I believe in. This is where my family has worked, where we've sent our children to school. We believe that this is the best education that we can get. If we can adequately fund for it, it could be probably even better than a private school. If we can really adequately fund for what our students' individual needs are, from rich to poor,
30
from
seconds remaining.
multilingual languages, from whatever. All of these things require its own budget in a certain sense, and may cost a little bit more here, may cost a little bit less there. But these are things that we have to ensure that we really be thoughtful about, help empower our community to want to give in to public schools and really start helping them understand this is the route to go
Thank
for
you,
a high
Karen.
quality education. Yep.
Thank you so much.
you.
And again, audience, if you cannot see the exact and precise dedication of these two ladies to do the job, you're missing something. That's why we had this event, so you could see it. We want you to make sure that they both are going to answer your additional questions at the end of this presentation. So please put your questions in the chat. They'll be screened, so make sure the questions are nice and that they're productive. But we also want to thank Karen and Dr. Tarece profoundly. We really appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate you all just as people and as dynamic people at that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the audience has to ask you shortly. So thank you so much. And again, go to Karen's website, go to Terece's website, find out more about them. They're very, very accessible people. So make sure you're doing that. They're at the school board for a reason. They're there for a reason. And that reason is you. Okay, so we're going to stay on, and I've got to switch gears. Love you, love you. And I've got to switch gears now to the next group. Oh, let me hope that my slide advance is there. Yeah. So, okay, we are switching gears. You know, I got a lot going on here technology-wise, so bear with me. Also want to remind everybody of what Dr. Tarece and Karen both said about absentee ballots. Absentee ballot pickup has been happening since the 4th of March, and it goes through May 10th. But I want you to make sure, this is a side issue, that you check the issue with the mail, because there are some places where mail is not necessarily being delivered. That's a whole other issue, which we are not prepared to go into today, but you can look it up. What we are prepared to do for you today is to tell you to plan your vote. Plan it. That's why we're here. Plan that vote. Know who you're voting for. You got to, because as they both said, no more designations of Republican, Democrat, and Independent. You cannot see that. You can't just go in and pick that. That's no longer. That's part of voter confusion. I'll own that. I'll own saying that. But in the meantime, we're going to move forward. We'll talk about the whole voter suppression thing later. But we're going to move forward with the attorneys who are running that we have on today's panel. And we're going to start with Attorney Tuwanda Rush Williams. Tuwanda, are you there? Can I see you? There she is.
I'm here.
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can. And I think that our audience can see you as well. And I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. Your question, well, we're going to jump right in, but I need the audience again to go to your website. They're going to be blown away by how much experience and dedication you have to the community. And I'm going to just say this question. I'm just going to get to the question because I want to make sure you have time to answer them. And remember, the timekeeper is going to be watching. Your question one has several parts, and these are prepared questions as well from GDW that you've seen. Why is it important for voters to turn out and vote for you sometime between April 29th and May 17th, early in person, or on Election Day, May 21st? What direct impact does a Superior Court judge have on the citizens in Gwinnett County? I have to say something else before I continue. I'm going to break for a second. You and the other attorney on this call, Ramona, you're not running against each other. I need everybody to know that. So Tuwanda is running for Superior Court judge. You got to really listen to what's going on. So the second part of this question, the third part of this question is, what two most significant accomplishments have you achieved as a successful practicing attorney for the last 30 plus years that align with your vision and mission of being elected Superior Court judge? You have 4 minutes maximum time to respond, and your time starts now.
Thank you for the opportunity So I am Tuwanda Rush Williams, and I'm running for Gwinnett Superior Court Judge, not just because I have 31 years of experience practicing law, and not just because I have substantive knowledge in over 25 areas of law, but because I care about the people of Gwinnett County as a mother, as a wife, as a Christian. It is important for people to come out and vote between April 29th and May 21st, simply because in my race, there are 3 women of color. It is important for us to have representation by women of color in this county because we provide a diversity of perspectives, diversity of experiences, and diversity of life experiences, all of which are very important in the administration of justice. Also, people often feel like when they appear in front of women of color on the bench, that they have an experience of trust. Someone values their background and their experience. And so it's important for people to come out and vote in my election because your choices are 3 Black women. And we have had experiences that will make us better suited to make decisions that will affect everyday lives. So, what about Gwinnett County Superior Court and how does it directly impact people and families and children? Well, the main thing you need to know about Superior Court is that it handles all family issues. So that runs the gamut from divorces, child custody cases, petitions for legitimation, paternity testing, child support matters, child modification and visitation matters, as well as adoption matters. And so all of those matters directly impact our families here in Gwinnett County. But there are also areas that you often don't think about that go to Gwinnett County Superior Court that I have substantive experience in, such as your property tax appeals. You may not know that if you appeal your property taxes because you are not satisfied with the value that's assigned by the Board of Tax Assessors, those cases actually go to Superior Court. And I've handled hundreds of them over my 27 years as a local government lawyer. Condemnation cases, when the county takes private property for a public purpose, those cases also go to Superior Court. If you are unhappy with the value that the county pays you for your property, that they need to build a school or a fire station or a police station or a library, you can also appeal those cases to Superior Court. And there are a lot of other matters that are handled there, civil rights cases. I represented police departments for 27 years. Those cases are all heard in Superior Court as well as in federal court. So those cases directly impact everyday citizens, not just your criminal felony matters and not just family matters, but day-to-day issues that you deal with. In terms of my most significant accomplishments in my 31 years of practicing law, I am happy to say that I was the first Black officer of the Gwinnett County Bar Association. I served as an officer for 5 years, culminating my service as president from 2012 to 2013. It was a lonely journey. That bar association is 70 years old, and I was the
30
first
seconds
person
remaining.
of color. But I was sure not to be the last, appointing a Black male attorney to replace me so that he could continue to appoint people to come through the officer ranks. In addition to that, I've been the recipient of multiple awards. I created the Gwinnett chapter of the Georgia Association for Women Lawyers in 2009, and I'm happy to say that the Gwinnett chapter is flourishing today with multiple community service projects. I have done a lot for Gwinnett County. I've handled thousands of cases. I've also supervised the litigation team and mentored younger lawyers and a lot of lawyers of color in this county. So those are my significant accomplishments.
Goodness gracious, Tuwanda, that's a lot. She really gave you the best overview. I definitely appreciate. I could not have done better for you on your behalf. And I want the voters and the audience, they are the voters, hopefully, to understand that they've got to really coalesce and find out who is going to serve Gwinnett County the best. And that is who you need to vote for. That is who everybody's got to seek out to vote for. And before I start filibustering myself, I'm going to go on to the second question so we can get that one in. What do you most want this audience of potential voters to know about your unique and genuine passion for public service? You have 2 minutes maximum time to respond, and your time starts now.
So I want the public to know that I don't just talk the talk about public service, but I have walked the walk. For example, I told you about how I started these bar associations, but just this past June, I ended 2 years of service as the chairperson of the scholarship committee of my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. In that capacity, under my leadership, we awarded $65,000 to students who were headed off to college in just 2 years under my leadership. In addition, I serve in several public service capacities. I serve on a nonprofit board called HOPE, which helps single parents to achieve their college degrees. I'm really most proud of that. I'm also part of the Gwinnett Giving Girls. We give our money and we award it to startup nonprofits that serve primarily women and children. I'm also very involved in several other organizations throughout Gwinnett County, such as the National Council of Negro Women, that also does a lot of public service projects. And honestly, because I was a public service lawyer for 27 years, it makes sense for me to aspire to the bench where I can continue to serve the public in a much broader capacity.
Thank you, Attorney Tuwanda Rush Williams. Thank you so much. I was going to say, I was jotting down a note of my own to say, anyone who didn't know how elected officials serve, you just heard. So, and I'm saying that about our previous two guests as well as yourself. And coming up, I just want to thank you for being here this afternoon, Attorney Tuwanda Rush Williams. Please
Thank
stay
you.
for questions immediately following Ramona's presentation. We're going to get to those. We're going to get to whatever's in the chat. And I thank you. I appreciate you so much. And I'm looking forward to hearing what Ramona, your colleague, has to say as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam President.
Ramona, are you there? I can't see you yet. Are you visible?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, there she is. Yay. Glad to have you here as well. And as everybody knows, you all know, these questions were built for all of you to be equal. We're trying to make sure that this forum is a forum. Informative is a basis in that word. And so I thank you for being here with us today as well. And we're going to jump right into the question, that first question, which has three parts. Why is it important for voters to turn out and vote for you sometime between April 29th and May 17th, early in person, or on Election Day, May 21st? Part B, what direct impact does a Gwinnett County State Court judge have on the citizens in Gwinnett County, Georgia? And C, what two most significant accomplishments have you achieved as a successful practicing attorney for the last 20 plus years that align with your vision, mission of being elected Gwinnett County State Court judge? You have 4 minutes maximum time to respond, and your time starts now.
Thank you, Madam President. A lot of times when it comes to judges, people don't see the significance of voting for a judge. And we're typically at the bottom of the ballot. But our roles are as important as mayor, as district attorney, as governor, because things we do on the bench will affect you. For instance, we all know about Miranda warnings. That was a court case, Miranda v. Arizona. That was a court case. That case was heard by a judge. Rulings were made. It eventually went up to the United States Supreme Court, and a ruling was made that if you are arrested, that you are made aware of certain rights that you have before you make any statements. So running for judge is an important position because I can make a bad decision that could negatively impact the world. I won't, but it's an important decision. I'm running for state court judge because I have 20 years of experience as a prosecutor. I started out in traffic court, I did child support enforcement, and I have tried all kinds of cases. I've tried as simple as possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, all the way up to your really bad cases, your sexual assault cases, your vehicular homicide cases, and that's all as first chair. So what I bring to the citizen of Gwinnett County is 20 years of legal experience. I've handled difficult communities, I've handled difficult caseloads, I've handled complex issues. And so I know how to find the law. I know how to read it and how to properly interpret it. And that's exactly what you want in a judge. You want someone who loves the law, who appreciates the law, who knows the law, and who will follow the law. And I have 20 years of experience as doing that as a prosecutor. Now, it is important for you all to come out and vote because I am running against an incumbent. And I want you to know that what I bring to the table that's unique is 20 years of trial experience, 20 years of being out there, meeting the people, talking to the people, interviewing witnesses and victims in their homes, in their low places, meeting with officers. I've also had the opportunity for 5 years while I was in the Gwinnett County District Attorney's Office to work with training new officers while they were going through the academy, teaching them criminal law, also giving them opportunities to come into the courtroom and teaching them proper court attire and etiquette. So I have all that experience. But what I also have is a genuine heart to help people. I want to be able to be that judge that when you come into my courtroom, that you feel heard. And that goes towards my significant experience that I've had as an attorney. I've had opportunities to meet with people at their lowest, when people didn't care about them and they felt unheard. And I have had the opportunities numerous times to meet with them, to talk to them, to hear them. And even if I'm not in a position to help them, a lot of them have told me for the first time, you heard me. One of the duties I have as a deputy district attorney is record restriction, also called expungement. And in that position, there are legal ways to help people restrict from viewing for non-criminal justice purposes, arrests, convictions, PTI programs that helps them get jobs. I had a young lady, she had 6 kids, and because of an arrest years ago that never resulted in a conviction, it was keeping her from getting a job. And so I was able to see that. I knew the law, I researched the law, I did the motion, I did the order, and now she has a job. And so I bring that kind of compassion, that kind of love to the people. I'm going to be that judge that's going to hear you. I may not rule for you, but I'm going to hear you. And then and that's what it means
30 seconds remaining.
that's what it means when I say compassion. And so if I am elected judge, it's going to bring that 20 years of trial experience, that 20 years of researching case laws and 20 years of following the case law and 20 years of being accessible to the public. I'm going to bring all of that to you when elected as a state court judge.
Thank you so much, Ramona. Gosh, again, if the audience doesn't understand all of the ramifications of making sure you make your vote heard and elect people who are really concerned about the people that they represent, as well as the people that come in front of them, that's a big issue. And so we're hoping and we're thankful for you being here with us today. And I thank you, Attorney Ramona Toole. Please stay for questions from the audience for both you and for Attorney Tuwanda Rush Williams. That's almost 50 years of legal experience combined between the two of you. That is outstanding. And I really appreciate y'all being here. We're going to get to the questions in a second. So just stay right there. Woo, I went too fast. Now, I hope I can go back to I told you I was going to get the technology thing. I'm hoping I can go back. I don't know if I can. That is not supposed to be there. Okay, so here we are, right here. Both of the trailblazing GCPS school board incumbents on this program today who are running for re-election, plus the 2 amazing and highly experienced attorneys running for election to judgeships and who are also on this program, are all determined to win your hearts, win this election, and win your trust. I need you to pay attention to what we've been saying all afternoon. Vote April 29th to May 17th, or on Election Day, May 21st, or with an absentee ballot vote. Once elected, they will each do their level best on behalf of the people of Gwinnett County, Georgia. Ms. Zelda, are there any questions in the chat? I don't know if she can hear me.
There is one question.
Okay, can we hold on to it for just 1 second? Just hold it. I'm going to ask you in a second. Okay, So before we ask that question, I am going to remind you about a couple of things, the audience, and ask you to remember a couple of things for your prepared vote, for preparing your vote. You must do your homework before you go to the polls April 29th through May 17th, or on May 21st, election day, or if you decide to vote through an absentee ballot. Multiple candidates are running for the same offices. The 4 people who you saw today are not running against each other. I already explained that. So you're free and able to vote for each of them depending on the district and where you live. Make sure you read about what candidates support and what they intend to do while they're in office. Visit candidates' websites. Know who you are voting for before you go to vote. There's no more R next to a name. There's no more D next to a name. There's no more I next to a name. There's not that. Not here, not this, not for this particular scenario that you've been hearing, scenarios that you've been hearing about today. And remember, I can say this. No one else can say this, but I can say this. Elected positions recategorized recently as nonpartisan by the current governor are definitely still partisan. You can't be awake one day and be an independent. I'm just going to be in the middle. And then the next day, you're nonpartisan, or I should say, you can't be any of the other two and then be nonpartisan overnight. That doesn't happen. The values of the candidates stick, and you've got to make sure you know what those are. So before we close out, Ms. Zelda, can you tell me who has a question and what that question is?
That question is for the candidates for the Gwinnett Board of Ed.
Okay.
It says, if you were not on the Gwinnett Board of Education, what would your advocacy for public education look like if you are not re-elected?
Karen and Tarece, did you hear that question? I'm not sure they're still here. I'm hoping. Karen, are you still here?
Oh, I'm here.
Tarece,
Can
are
you
you still
repeat
here
that?
too? Okay, Karen, this is what we're going to do. We'll give you 1 minute. Vonda, this is a time thing again. 1 minute for each of them to answer this question. And I think you need to hear it repeated, Karen. Do you want to hear it repeated?
Yes, because it was, if you are not, yes, if you can repeat that.
Yes. Zelda, can you repeat it, please?
If you were not on the Gwinnett Board of Education, what would your advocacy for public education look like if you are not re-elected?
It might, what would my?
They want to know what you would do if you were in a situation. This is like a what if. We're not going to wish this.
Oh, so if I was not reelected, what would I say? Oh,
and I would even rephrase it. I would even rephrase it to be, if you weren't on this position to
I can
begin
answer it if you want me to. I can start.
Yes.
So what I can say is, if you want me to, Karen, do you want to go ahead or do you?
Oh, I could go ahead. Now that I understand, like if I wasn't on the board, what would I be doing?
Yes.
Okay, I'd be doing exactly what I was doing prior, which is trying to still build thriving communities and keeping education as the center focus. So what I do now, similar to what I was doing prior, is advocating to ensure that there's no vouchers, ensuring that we have adequate funding for our public schools, so that we can ensure that we meet the diverse needs of our children here. And when I say diverse needs, that's inclusive of from rich to poor, from
30 seconds remaining.
Special needs. Special needs includes multilingual, anything that needs additional resources to help support. Those things are not adequately funded for today. And helping to uplift our community to be informed, and as well also giving into our public schools, whether it's trying to help ensure we have elected officials that will advocate for this for us, or whether it is helping to develop foundations, do all those things, everything I was already trying to do and work and facilitate prior to this. That is what I would do. So it wouldn't stop. Whatever I'm doing just wouldn't stop.
Thank you, Karen. Dr. Tarece, thank you.
Answer this question. I think it's a marvelous question. So the first thing I would tell you all is that before I ran for school board, I was already in education. I owned a school. I was a teacher. I was intricately involved in writing curriculum, making sure that our children, in particular children who are special needs, children who have been kicked out of public schools, or children who are in need of different experiences, that I've already worked with them. Also, as one of the co-founders of an organization that's an activist organization in the
30
community.
seconds
I was
remaining.
also an activist and working, an advocate and working for the needs of the community. I will always, before I was on the school board, I was in education. While I'm on the school board, I work for an organization that addresses the adverse childhood experiences, the highest ACEs scores. I work with those children across the nation right now, addressing the needs of those children. I will continue to work in education. I will continue to work in addressing the needs of children in our local community and around the country, because it is so important that we focus on making sure, in particular, that the marginalized kids and the kids that has been historically left out are now uplifted in a way that we can address their needs with our resources, access, and opportunities. And that's my commitment to you as a community, and that's my commitment to all of you all, whether I'm elected by the people or not. I believe this is the people's seat. This is not my seat. I don't own it. You all have the opportunity to vote for who you need to vote for, and vote your values, whoever you choose. And if I'm not the one that's selected, I respect the voice of the people, because this is not my seat. This is the seat of the people. And I respect the people's voice. I encourage you to go out and vote. Vote your values and vote who represents your needs in a courageous way. I am a courageous catalyst for change. Si se puede. And watch Shirley Chisholm, y'all. It's such an inspirational.
A shameless plug for our first Black Congresswoman. Yes, shameless plug. But I want to say thank you, Dr. Tarece. Thank you both, because understand that their commitment is to you. We talked about this earlier, and we also talked about informing your vote. This is one of the most critical times to make sure that those in certain places, powerful places, who have made it more confusing or tried to make it more confusing for you to vote, do not prevail. You know exactly what I'm talking about, but that means you have to read, investigate, interrogate, talk to. You've got to find out who stands for what. And once you figure that out, vote with purpose. That is what you have to do. So I know me, I could go into lecture mode. Zelda, you have another question? Hopefully,
I have another question for Attorney Tuwanda Williams.
And we're going to throw that. I hope it's a similar question, so we could toss that as well to Ramona. Yes. Hi, Tuwanda.
Okay.
What's the question?
How has your extensive community involvement shaped your desire to be an effective Superior Court judge?
That is a great question.
1 minute.
I had an opportunity to work with several people from different marginalized communities, particularly Korean bar associations, Chinese American bar associations, Latin American bar associations. And one thing that I discovered is that these communities feel like they don't have access to our court system. They feel like they don't have access to justice. And in some cases, in the Latino community, they don't even trust our court system. And so that is a huge reason as to why I decided to run, is because I know that I would work tirelessly to facilitate access to our court system by being out in the community, showing up at various town hall meetings, coming to
30
community
seconds
groups
remaining.
and explaining how they can gain access to the court system. I also spent a lot of time in our Gwinnett County Jail, where I saw 500 people with mental illness sitting in the jail. And I would love to expand our accountability courts, because I don't believe that people with PTSD and substance abuse problems and mental illness are better served sitting in jail as opposed to being part of our accountability courts and having home custody and probation services, as well as counseling services. So my experiences have dramatically shaped my decision to run for Superior Court Judge.
Thank you, Tuwanda. Ramona, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, and your time, do you understand the question? Did you hear it? I'm not sure. Okay, and your time starts now.
I didn't get an opportunity to explain. I do have an extensive background in being a public servant and doing community service work myself, from the Fulton County Citizen Review Board to different organizations within my church, within my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And my heart for being a public servant and doing community service, and how it has affected my desire to be a judge, is that I came from a very poor upbringing, and I saw things that kids should not see. And
30 seconds remaining.
if I had followed the pattern of my life, I would not be a judge or an attorney. But the community poured into me and gave me hope, gave me life, gave me education. I have 3 degrees. And so my desire is to pay back communities what was given into me. And I want to do that as a judge. I want to pour back into the citizens of Gwinnett County all the love, encouragement, and support that was given to me. Because if it was not for other people doing community service and pouring into me, I wouldn't be here. And it is an honor and a blessing. And I owe that now, to give that to other people so that they can benefit from my story and benefit from my history, and also to help make Gwinnett County just a better place to live.
And on that wonderful note, I know nobody can see like that I have tears in my eyes. They're in my head actually, because I respect these 4 ladies so much for all they represent and what they're doing and the types of women and people that they are. I can't tell you, it's a magnificent opportunity to hear from you all today. Thank you so much, Ramona. Thank you, Tuwanda. Thank you, Dr. Tarece. Thank you, Karen. The Gwinnett Democratic Women, thank you all for your time and attention this evening, to the audience as well. Thank you, GCPS Immediate Past Chair, Dr. Tarece Johnson Morgan, GCPS Vice Chair Karen Milzak Watkins, Attorney Tuwanda Rush Williams, and Attorney Ramona Toole, for the hard work and dedication to the people of Georgia that you have done and continue to do. Everybody, we've said one thing, we've said it over and over: vote April 29th through May 17th, early in person or on election day, May 21st. I think it's 21st, right? 21st, 22nd. Sorry. Thank you so much. We're going to vote. I'm going to vote early, so I don't need to know the election day, but y'all definitely need to know election day and early voting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's it for us. We appreciate your time and we appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And good afternoon.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, stop tape.